Hey, Coach, I've been meaning to ask you about some of the kickoffs that you've been having because you've had a couple go out of bounds. Have those just been issues of trying to put on plays that didn't go right, or is there anything else going on there?
No, we were trying to kick a high, short kick to the right. Bucker tried to put it over there near the sideline too far, and the kind of wind pushed it out there. And, it was a mistake. It was not something we wanted to try to do, that's for sure. But we did want them to field the ball, high, short kick that we can cover. That's what we were looking for there. We just didn't get a good kick.
Let's go next to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
Coach, can you just update us on how you think things are going with Butker, and he had his struggles, and just where he's at right now?
Yeah, we've been a couple weeks now, where Butker's been 100%. So that's what we're looking for. We got a long way to go, but he's practicing hard. He's studying like he always studies, and it's just a matter of him just getting in a groove, and he is in a groove right now. We just want to keep it that way. He's hitting the ball solid, and we're happy with where he's at right now. Going forward, we just got to keep it rolling.
And same thing with Townsend, just where he's at. I know you talked about Colquitt, came in as a big leg, and you made him, you kind of morphed him into the accuracy coffin corner guy. Just like, where is he now, and what do you think the big picture is for him as time moves forward?
He was off to a really, really good start. He probably he's coming off his worst game last week. We had 4 punts. They were effective punts, but not great punts. You know what I mean? Like they hit the ground, rolled, and they ended up being, really good for us. But at the end of the day, a little bit better. We need better punts there. So he's coming off his worst game. I'm looking for him to bounce back this week. He had a couple pooch punts that the wrong angle, too much of an angle, and it seemed like we were trying to kick away from Antonio Brown, but we really weren't. We were just trying to get it down there in the corner of the end zone, corner of the field rather. So those things we need to work on. He'll bounce back this week and have a good week.
Let's go next to Todd Lebo. Go ahead, Todd.
Coach, on Tommy, people talk a lot about the rookie wall, right? And that seems like something that wouldn't happen for a punter because maybe not nearly as physical. But is there a mental aspect to kind of grinding through an entire season, maybe as unusual as this season is? Now we'll have another question.
I mean, there could be, but I find that hard to believe with him. I mean, basically because we don't punt that much. We don't. It's not like we're out there, hitting a lot of punts, 2 to 4 punts a game. I mean, he just got to. I don't think that's an issue really, but it could happen. But I don't think that's something that we'd even talk about really. But he's just got to bounce back this week and have a better game, which he will. I have full confidence in Tommy.
You guys got a kick return for a touchdown last time against the Broncos. I know you'd like to have one of those every week, right? Is there something that when you go study teams that you feel like heading into it, hey, we've got a shot this week? Or is that something that just kind of happens during a game?
Every game we think we have a shot. I mean, to be honest with you, some weeks a little bit more than others, when you look at some things and then all of a sudden they throw a total different wrinkle at you. All of a sudden they have different coverage scheme, so every week we think we can get one. This week is no different. I mean, just same thing. So we just need to get on guys and get our blocks and hit it like we can and have good ball security and let the chips fall where they may. So, every week is the same thing for us.
Got 2 more. We'll go Nate and then Adam. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Dave, my question is on the kickoff return team as well. Alluding to the fact that you guys scored last time, but, Byron may not be available to you guys. You put Rashad Fenton back there. Just what are you seeing since you last played Denver that you kind of want to correct in terms of maybe getting, the ball, starting to drive, past the 25-yard line?
Well, we needed them to kick to us. Like we've had Fenton back there a couple of weeks now, and nobody's giving the ball. I mean, everything is all touchback. So I really want to see him, get a touch here and see what he has. He's looked really, really good in practice. So we just got to get him one in the game. We got to ask them that question: whether they want to give us the ball or not. If they give us one, you're going to see Fenton. So that's where we're at. I mean, I think he's got the talent. We have other guys that can do it. Obviously, McCole can do it. He scored it back there, and and D-Rob, we got other guys that can do it too. So as well. So we got to get the opportunities. And if they kick the touchback, which this team is very capable of doing, we may not get one this week. So we'll see what happens.
We'll go last to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Dave. Wanted to ask about Dorian O'Daniel and maybe what kind of loss he would be, assuming he's not going to play on Sunday night. What kind of loss is that, first of all? And do you have maybe somebody in mind to fill the roles that he plays for you guys on special teams?
We have something in our mind who's going to fill his role, but I'm not going to talk about it right now. But yeah, he's got he had a big role for us. I mean, he's a 4-phase starter. He's on every phase. He was playing at a Pro Bowl level this year. He's our leading tackler. He's doing great with blocking. So we're going to miss him until he comes back. He's got a high ankle sprain, so it's going to take a minute. So we'll get him replaced. We have a good thing is we have a lot of players that we can replace him with, and we feel good going forward. But we will be happy when he comes back.
Good afternoon. Hope all is well. Hopefully everyone is staying safe and remaining safe. It feels good to be back in the building. You guys obviously know we were out Monday and Tuesday. So it was good being back, seeing the guys and getting back on the field and doing what we do collectively as a group. With that said, I'm all ears and ready to go.
Let's go first to Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, just want to take it over to the offensive line. You've had Wisniewski back for practice. I know he's still on the practice squad over the past week, but how's he looking? And was it just like, because he was here last year, he was able to pick things up and hit the ground running?
Oh, yeah, he looks just like Wiz. Wiz is going to do anything and everything to make sure he's getting himself back ready to play and getting himself right, where he needs to be in case we need him to plug in right away. But he's a sharp kid. He understands the system. Coach Heck does a great job with those guys. On top of that, that O-line group is a tight-knit group, so I'm sure those guys with the chemistry have just fell right back in place.
Go next to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
Coach, I'm going to ask you this because I know we're going to get to the end of the year where, in all likelihood, you're going to be interviewed, and I know how you don't want to talk about it, and there's a job to do. So I want to talk hypothetically, right, theoretically, before these things come down. The interview process, right, is that in your mind? I know you've been through it a number of times, right? Is that a stressful process? Is that something that you relish? Is it something you have to put a lot of time in preparing for when you go do it?
Well, I'll say this, hypothetically speaking, Seren, I'm not even worried about that at this particular time. Is it a stressful time? Yes, it is. You know what? Because first of all, we're trying to make sure these guys are focused on the Denver Broncos. At the end of the day, that's going to take care of itself, Seren. And I appreciate you asking. You know I'm not going to answer it. But I appreciate you asking the question. But my focus and energy is on the Denver Broncos. There's still a lot of football left to play. I thought our guys did a hell of a job against Tampa last week. There's some things that we need to clean up and address and finish. So we want to make sure that we're focused and we hit the ground running, hitting on all cylinders come this weekend.
Let's go next. Harold Kutz. Here, go ahead, Harold.
Well, EB, I'm sure you're very honored and privileged to have all that attention. I'm sure that's happy to know. My question to you, when it comes to Patrick Mahomes, you come off a 460-yard day, 60-yard plus day, 3 touchdowns, gets off to a perfect start. How do you continually, as you would say, strain to try to get him, how does he even get better? Like, what do you do? What's your coaching style as somebody who's just like ceiling is so high? It's like, what do you do? Go for 500? How do you do that?
Well, the thing is that you show up and come to work every single day. With competitors, you don't have to really ask them to do anything. It's that desire to be the very best at what they do. As much as a great game Pat had last week, there's some things that he could have did better. And there's some things that he wants to clean up to help himself to improve, but overall to help us to be better moving forward. So there's that self-motivating pride and ego that's within him. And that's the thing that gets him going. But on top of that, collectively, he understands the importance of all of us doing something and improving together. Because when it's all said and done with, we all have to be on the same page. We all have to be in sync and in chemistry and syncing in rhythm with one another to make sure that when it's time to go, we can go. And I'll say this, our guys, like I said, I'm going to keep going back to this. I thought our guys did a hell of a job. But there was a point in time when we got out of syncing and rhythm in that game. And we got to eliminate the self-inflicted wounds. Those are the little things that we are striving for to improve and to get better. Those are some of the things that Pat wants to work on as well.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Coach, I just want to zone in on the final 2 or 3 minutes against the Bucs where Pat kind of just took control of the game. How much in rarefied air are we getting when it comes to just his instincts and almost muscle memory of the fundamentals of what to do in particular situations?
You know what? I think Coach Caffrey does a heck of a job with him, you know, every single day, whether it's in the meeting or on the field in individual periods. I thought he did a great job. I mean, he made some great throws down the field. But you know what? He made key plays with his feet at the right particular time. And that was huge. Those were things that are defining moments, and those are things that help us to get through a few humps. And it helped define that game as we went along. But one thing about Pat, he's always going to strive for perfection, okay? Because he wants to be the very best that he can. So he's going to continue to work and continue to strive for that.
Let's go next to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach, a lot of guys work with their own individual coaches and trainers in the off season, but I'm particularly interested in Tyreek and what you've seen from the work that, you know, translating from the end of the season to the beginning of the next year, each year with the work that he's put in trying to develop his game.
You know, every year, Tyreek takes his game to another level. He spends a lot of time during the off season working with a particular coach who I've known for a number of years. He does a great job. The thing that Tyreek, and I'll say this, and not just because we're talking about Tyreek and Pat at this particular moment, but all our guys are very, very competitive. And I'll say this, that our GM and owners, they've allowed us to bring the right people in the building. So Tyreek has that attitude and that mindset, and he wants to improve on the little things every single day. So every year that he's going in from one season to another, there's a lot of things that he's stressing to improve upon, whether it's dropping his hips at the top of the route, whether it's creating separation at the line of scrimmage. All those little things matter. And then on top of that, just making sure that he can become the best short to intermediate route runner as well. So I've seen him take tremendous steps in between that time, but also, too, watching him take the necessary steps that he does throughout the course of each week.
Let's go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Eric. Pat is Pat, as we know, but still he's a relatively young guy. So I wanted to ask you about that last third down of the game in Tampa, when you guys was third and whatever, and you threw the ball there and kept it and ran the clock out. Was that a difficult decision to do that? Because if you guys throw an incomplete pass, you're punting the ball back to Brady, giving him an extra 40 seconds. Take me through that decision, what you guys were thinking in there, and was it a difficult choice about what to do on that particular play call?
There's always discussion, and I'll say this, Adam, that's a great question. We always go into each and every game having an idea on exactly what we want to do. We didn't feel that we were running the ball as well, so we wanted to make sure that, hey, regardless of what we call, we're going to move the chains. And one thing that we input, not just in Pat, but all 11 of our players, when they are out on that field, hey, we have confidence in you. Go get the job done. You know what to do. You know how to do it. Now go out and execute. So we want our guys to feel confident regardless of what play we call. Because in our mind, we believe every play is designed to score a touchdown. So we want our guys to have that mentality, knowing that they're going to get the job done.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go Darren and then Steve. Go ahead, Darren.
Coach AB, first of all, glad to see you. Hope all is well with you and the family. My question, a couple questions. One, what is the scenario that you would see Le'Veon Bell in on a 2nd and 1, a 3rd and 1? I know, when you look at from the television, Clyde is so small trying to get through those big linemen. He generally gets stopped, doesn't get the first down. When can we see someone like Le'Veon Bell, who's been that type of running back, to get those first downs in on the action? And then second of all, is it frustrating knowing that how high-powered the offense is and should be, the players, when they expect to score all the time, that they don't, or that you all don't, where the game should have been maybe 28-0 first quarter, where it turns out to be a 27-24 game? Is there any frustration in the play calling or lack thereof scoring throughout the game that you all can't punch the ball in to score when you feel like you should?
Well, first of all, in our short yardage situations, one thing that as a group, we have to be better, okay? Regardless of what back is in the game. I don't care. At the end of the day, our job is to move the chain. It's about an attitude and a determined mindset. And that's our focus. And we talk about that each and every week. And as a former running back coach, regardless of what runner's in the game, I don't care. Long as you find a way to move the chains, I don't care if anybody is blocked or nobody's blocked. Okay? Your job is to find a way. So at the end of the day, there's just some things that we make sure that we're getting done. Yes, can we be better up front? Yes, we can. But also, too, there's some things that the runners need to do, and we got to make sure that we get it done. And I don't care who gets it. It could be Sherm, it could be Tyreek, it could be McCole, it can be Le'Veon, it can be Clyde, it can be Darwin, it can be – I don't care. At the end of the day, the end result speaks for itself. Now, when talking about the points being scored, yes, we would like to play better. I'm still looking for that perfect game. We came out on fire. We did some things that I thought were very, very good. And I thought at times we found a way to pull ourselves out of a rut. But one thing that we've talked about each and every week is the self-inflicted wounds. We got to eliminate the penalties, and we got to eliminate the mental errors at those particular times. And when we're doing that, and not to sound arrogant, I'm being very, just professional about this. When we're doing our job and playing against the opponent rather than playing against ourselves, we're giving ourselves a good chance to be successful. But once we start killing ourselves with those self-inflicted wounds, those things become devastating, and they have an impact on the game, which we saw this past weekend.
We'll go last to Steve Walls. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, what's happening, EB? Good. I'd like to get your philosophy on plays like Ferrari Right and Black Pearl. I mean, it seems like when they work, you and Andy are called offensive innovators, but when they don't work, it's been said that you guys are doing too much. But just what are your thoughts on calling those types of curveball plays in various points of the game and not just being predictable, so to speak, allowing your guys to go out there and have fun?
The beauty of it is, and think about this, the year 2020 has been stressful in many different ways. And you never know what, players may be having going on outside of what we do here. So at the end of the day, yes, we are professionals. But also, too, we want these guys to have fun and enjoy what they do. So it's okay. We feel that it's okay for our guys to get a little creative. Now, obviously, we would love for those plays to be successful. And the thing is that these guys do a great job of working it out each and every week. And more than anything, they take personal ownership in it. So they're going to find a way to make it work. So when it's all said and done with, it's not that we're going out there trying to be predictable. No, we're keeping our guys in tune and involved. But on top of that, they understand the responsibility and the accountability that has to be held, and also in making sure that they execute and getting it done.
Okay. Let's start first with Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Coach, what led to you guys shifting L'Jarius Sneed's role a little bit? How is he taking it, and what have you seen so far in the tape that you guys have?
Yeah, I see a lot of good. I mean, listen, he played really well when he was in there early in the year, trying to get the best players on the field as much as we can, and that's really. And we've asked him to learn a position that he really didn't do in training camp, and he's doing a great job. He's playing inside at nickel.
Go next to Sam Mellinger. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Steve. I wanted to ask you about Frank Clark. There's some numbers that kind of suggest he's being left alone, like one-on-one. In a lot of situations like that happen a lot against Tampa. What's your diagnosis on and how he's doing in those situations, and how can you get a little bit more out of it?
Well, I mean, look, I think we all feel like if we don't, I think on every play, every time they drop back and pass, we all feel like if we don't get to them, then we didn't get the job done. And I think Frank feels the same way. But he's out there battling just like the rest of them. I can try to put him in better situations, but I look at it as a unit thing more than anything. I thought we were really good on third down this past week, so it got a little bit better. And then, listen, every time they drop back to throw the football, we're trying to affect the quarterback. It doesn't have to be a sack. I say this all the time. Everybody gets wrapped up in numbers, and that's the big number, but it's more than that. It's how we affect the quarterback.
Go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Steve, I'll follow up on Sam's question about the pass rush. How much are you seeing in terms of stunts that are still being effective if not getting to the quarterback? And how much of their production is sort of leading into the fact that you guys are one of the more blitzing teams in the league right now?
Who's production leading? Give me it again. I'm not sure what you're asking.
given the pass rush, like the defensive linemen, so like you guys have used stunts. How much?
Man, stunts. Talking about 4 guys coming and using stunts.
Yeah. And then what leads to the decision as to does that have an impact on how much or how aggressive you want to be with your blitzes?
I don't think so. I mean, look at I'll call defenses that require 4-man rushes. I'll call defenses that require 5. I'll call defenses that require 6 and all the way up to 7. You know that. Those are the pressures. When I call a defense that requires 4, sometimes we straight pass rush, and sometimes we give the guys liberty to put games on. That's based on certain things, which I'm not going to say here because we're getting ready to play somebody. And then that's how the games work. And sometimes they're effective, sometimes they're not. But I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how we function.
Go next to Herbie Tiopi. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to follow up on Pete Sweeney's first question to you on L'Jarius Sneed. Obviously, there's a difference when you play outside corner and then when you're asked to slide inside. What are some of the physical attributes and even mental capacity you're looking for in a cornerback to be able to make that switch?
Yeah, I mean, the first one, or the one you mentioned about mental capacity, is pretty important. The guy that goes inside and plays nickel has to be somewhat cerebral. We do a bunch of different things. He plays zone, he plays man, we bring him. He goes back and plays the half with the way we rotate people. And the one thing about LJ is he's got football get it. I mean, he understands football. We knew that when we started working with him, however many months ago it was, and just were anxious to get him back after he performed pretty well at corner. What we didn't know is could he slide inside and get some of the things done. And right now, I think it's been pretty good. In college, he played a lot of different places, so I think he was somewhat familiar with some of the things that he's doing now.
Go next to Nick Jacobs. Go ahead, Nick.
Brad, I'll have a follow-up for this. Steve, for you, what do you feel like the identity of this 2020 defense is?
I don't know what the identity is, but I can tell you what our goal is always is to keep the points allowed down. That's the number one goal. If we come out of the game and it's at 17 or less, we feel like we've done our job. So there's been a few games here where we feel like we need to do better. But I think we're trending in the right way. I thought we played better last week than we did the 2 prior games. But look, our guys like to play fast and physical and try to be aggressive. That's when we play fast and do a lot of things fast and we're not thinking. That's when we play well.
And then for you, what characteristics do you want in your defensive leaders?
Unity, more than anything, bring people together. I mean, I think that's what any leader does. They lead with character. They lead by example. I've said this, and I don't know where I got it from, but it makes a lot of sense to me. You want your hardest workers. You want your best players to be your hardest workers at each position. You want one at D-line, one at linebacker level, one at DB. And when you have that, everybody kind of follows suit. So we have those guys. We have character guys. We have guys that believe in uniting. I think that's really an important aspect of leadership, especially in this profession.
We got 2 more. Let's go Sam and Sarin. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Steve. With L'Jarius, obviously you knew when he came back you were going to have an extra body that you didn't have when he was playing early in the season as far as with Breland. Did you tell him as he was hurt to become more familiar with that inside cornerback and maybe therefore he had to do a little bit more mental reps than an average guy who was on IR might have to?
Yeah, the good thing was when we had him on IR, he was with us and able to meet every day. So he was in every meeting. I anticipated it. So we'd gone to LJ and said, look, keep your eyeball on the nickel. And he ran with it. That showed me that he was a pro. He stepped in there the first week. I think it's 2 weeks now. And really had a pretty good grasp of what that position did. Now, he did not have a foundation of reps. Like we didn't play him in any nickel going all the way back to training camp. So I give him a lot of credit for knowing what to do or knowing as much as he did in the reps that he's had, because there is a learning curve. Whether you know it on the board or in the meeting room or not, there's a learning curve when you go out there and it's going really fast. But so far, so good, and we'll just keep working with it.
We'll last to Sarin Petro. Go ahead, Sarin.
And Brad, I'll have a quick follow-up, depending upon what Coach says here on this one. On pass rush, right, everyone gets better when you practice something, right? So that's why you have practice, right? And you go on. But how much of pass rush ability, whether it's inside or outside, is just raw athleticism? I mean, is that something that, clearly you're not going to take me and make me a pass rusher, right? So there's obviously an athletic element of it. How much of it is just that raw athlete, and how much better can you make a guy through practice and repetitions and experience?
Yeah, I mean, look, at this technique to everything. We believe in that. That's why we practice and preach fundamentals and Brendan, I think, does a great job with it. I once heard a coach say this, and I think there's a lot of truth to it, that pass rush, probably at any level, is like 70% want. Like we always talk about being relentless. And I did this one year, it's been a few years now, and I just go back and see sacks and pressures and why they're getting them. And as I sat there and watched, I said, well, it's not necessarily a real skill thing they did, but they just wanted to get there. Now, part of that is the back end's probably doing a pretty good job, so the quarterback's holding it. But long time ago when I was coaching the D-line at Lafayette College back in the late 80s or whatever it was, we used to talk about, rushing the passer was 70% want, just purely wanting to get there. But do I think there's technique involved? Yeah.
And then to follow up, the get off, right? Like, and not to pile on Frank, but there's metrics out there that say he's got one of the best get offs out there. But like we've kind of talked about here, maybe it's not accounting for sacks. How much of it is get off? You said 70% is 1-2. All right. So that 30%, that's the rest of it. How much of it is that get off? Because it's seemingly a great one, but it's right now not translating into sacks.
Yeah, well, you keep going back to sacks. I mean, that's not what I'm looking at. I don't think that is the one and only indicator of how a player is being effective in his pass rush. I don't believe that. So everybody on the defense has talked about, as we get down the stretch here, getting better at whatever it is we do. I got to get better at calling it and coaching it. Assistant coaches got to do the same. Players do, coverage guys, et cetera, et cetera. So, and I agree with you that Frank does have one of the better get-offs. And I don't know where the doubles or not the doubles are. I don't know. Listen, we've played some quarterbacks. I think Derek Carr does a great job of this, where he gets the ball out really quick. I don't care how fast your get-off is. Sometimes when you get out quick, it's not going to make a difference. So anyway, I'm not hung up on the sacks. I'm hung up on the unity and how we're playing as a group, especially third down. If we can keep playing third down like we did last week, I think that'll help us.
All right. Well, we'll get started, and we'll start first with Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Juan, thanks for coming out and chatting with us. Obviously, you're approaching a year anniversary of your ACL injury, and sometimes when you recover from an injury, there's a mental and a physical aspect to it. So two-part question here for you. Where would you say you are mentally from recovery from the torn ACL? And the second part is, are you at a point where you're able to physically perform without thinking about the knee injury?
Right now, I feel like I'm at a very good place. There was times in the year where I was actually thinking about it a little bit while I was on the field, but just with me getting more reps and me being on the field, it's just eliminated that. I don't really think about it as much now. But there's times where like you may feel it a little bit, but it takes time to get away from it and get over an ACL injury. So it's not something that you could just think you're just gonna get on the field and it's just gonna go away. You're gonna always have a little bit of feeling. Like you're gonna feel it a little, but it's not too bad.
Let's go next to Harold Kuntz. Go ahead, Harold.
Hey, Juan. Kind of following up on Herbie, what was the biggest thing for you? What was the biggest factor for you that kind of helped you get over that hump to get back on the field and try to perform at the level you were last year?
Honestly, the biggest thing is just like changing my mentality. There was times where like I was down on myself, just questioning if I would be able to be back on the field and play to my ability. But then like as I got out there and started working back into it, I started feeling like, okay, I feel like I can go out here and play still. I still feel confident. I have that power and speed still. So now I just got to trust myself.
Let's go next to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Juan, it's following up a little bit on Herbie's question. It's also usually pretty natural for guys coming back from serious injuries to, have a wall, especially because you didn't have any off season and you missed a little bit of training camp as well, waiting to get back. And with Coach Reed saying that you're a bit of a situational player right now, wanting to limit your reps, are you comfortable in that role? Is that a role that you feel like is good for you right now as far as where you are physically?
Like I didn't have those training camp reps like you said, but the whole offseason I was here. I was working with Rick and the staff with trying to get myself back out there. So I was doing field work. I was out there running, getting those breaks and everything to build my confidence just to know that I can do it. And with the bye week, we had time with Coach Spags. He watched film, I watched film, and he kind of wished that we would have took it a little slower early in the season because we limited my reps to maybe the first game, and then after that I was just out there going 100% pretty much. And you don't win the season in the first few weeks. You have to get better each and every week. So I talk with Coach Spags, and I feel like we're in a really good place right now. We're just taking it one day at a time, one game at a time, and hopefully everything will play out, and I'll be back out there.
Go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Juan, do you feel like you've consistently been the same player you were toward the end of last season yet this year? You feel like you've been that kind of player yet?
I've had some bumps in the road just because of the fact that, like, it's not just something you can just get out there and be 100% right after an ACL injury. But I'm definitely getting back to myself. I can feel myself running a lot faster, breaking a lot better, and becoming more confident as I'm on the field. So I'm definitely getting back to where I was.
Let's go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Juan, earlier in the year, in relation to your return from injury, was so much discussion about the cornerback position and guys either not being there because of health or suspension with Rashad. Now that you've had 2 weeks to play with those guys in front of you, just what are you noticing about the cornerback position and just having everybody available in the secondary as a whole?
It's good that we finally got everyone back on the field just because of the fact that we can start piecing the puzzles together and figure out who plays best together, because we have a bunch of different packages with a bunch of different guys on the field together. So with us getting to the end of the season, this is the time where you find the right package. So when you get to the playoffs and move forward, you have the right guys on the field at the right time. So I feel really comfortable with the guys that we got out there. We had Tyron, Dan, and Sneeze stepping up and playing the nickel role, and he hasn't played it in I don't know how long, and he's fresh in there, but I feel like the guys are doing a heck of a job.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go Nick, and I think Herbie had a follow-up. So go ahead, Nick.
Juan, for you, what was kind of one of the bigger surprises or unexpected moments in your recovery that you didn't anticipate?
Oh, that's a hard question. Like, honestly, like right now, like what I'm going through right now is just I didn't expect to have to like be a guy that plays a lesser role in our defense, but it's not something that I'm super down on, because like I'm gonna keep working regardless. And when it's my time to step in there and play, I'm gonna go in there and make a play. And like I said, hopefully I'll get back out there real soon.
And we'll go last to Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, when you obviously share a locker close enough to Tyron, and you mentioned his name, but how much have you been in his ear on the best way to approach the recovery from ACL injuries?
He's been here pretty much through the whole process. Like I've had a lot of questions for him, and because like he's been through 2 of them. The main thing he told me is just I got to be patient. There's going to be times where I'll be one step away from making a play, and it's going to be real frustrating. But you can't get down on yourself. You got to keep your confidence, know that you're a good player, and you know that you can play, and it's going to slowly come back, and you're going to start making those plays, and then you're going to be really confident. So that's why I'm not going to get down on myself, because of the fact that I know I still can play, and I still have that ability to make those plays, but I'm just one step away from making the same plays that I was making last year. But I'll be back like real soon.